Hi everyone, and welcome to a short build video for Castellan Crowe. This is the new sculpt that was in the Hexfire box set, and I've clipped him from the sprue already and basically prepped everything that I want to do. Trimmed off the mould lines, etc. The other thing I've done is, I'm not a big fan of back banners, so I've removed his back banner from his backpack. I had to do a bit of filing and trimming because there was the ribbon from a purity seal which came down over on one of the vents, so I've had to trim that away. The first thing I'm actually going to do, which isn't the first thing in the build instructions, and that is I'm going to do the base. Now the base comes in a few different parts. You obviously have the option, if you don't want to use the included plastic scenic base, to just put it on this flat 40mm. I'm going to use the scenic base, and what I'm going to do is just marry up the roundest side of the base with the edges of the 40mm base that's provided for him. The glue I'm using is Plastic World, EMA Plastic World. I find this gives me the best bonding with regards to plastic kits. And it's something I've used now for years and years. I much prefer it. We then have the skull icon just to go on top there, and that's got a square peg hole. The other place where the foot goes has a small wedge-shaped indentation, and this is obviously where you locate Crowe when you put him in position. By moving the scenic base to the very edge of the 40mm base, it gives me a little bit of edge there to play with regards to just putting in some sand for painting to cover up the rest of the base. Otherwise it would be very thin edges available to me. And the last piece is this part of the 8-pronged star, the chaos emblem, and this actually just slots into two holes on the edge of the base and sits in quite nicely, and just pop in a bit of glue, and that's the base done. Really quick and easy. So the parts that you start with are going to be the legs and the back of the torso. And having done a couple of test fits earlier, I just missed a bit of seam line there. Having done a couple of test fits earlier, I found that the best way is to put the legs together first, and then pop them onto the base and let them set as is. Castellan Crowe comes in a fair few bits on the sprue, and the only option for him is a head swap. So I've gone for the helmeted head on this one. Okay, that should do. Now, when you put the back piece on, you need to ensure that this little square hole is visible, because that is a slot to allow one of their holy tomes to be stuck to him. So that's basically the first step. The next step is the Holy Tome, and this just pops into place like so. And all I'm going to do is just run a bit of plastic weld on the edge, and that will seep in and glue it in place. And then we can go for the front of the torso on like this. And make sure you give that a good press to ensure that it seats properly and there's no gaps. Okay, and that is the main body completed. The next step, it says, is to glue on the cloak. Now the cloak sits underneath where his backpack mounts, but I'm not actually going to glue it in place, for the simple reason being is that it'll obstruct painting at a later stage, which I don't want to happen. So what I'm going to do, the next step is to glue his gun arm into place, and that just goes on there. Like thus. And when that's dry, I will, in fact I'll do it now, but the remainder of his right hand, his hand and fingers, just goes underneath there like that. The next step is the sword of Antwerp, and this goes in, it's got a locating lug, square locating lug, and that just goes in there. And a little bit of glue in place. That's it. So there we go, already taking shape. The next item will be his head and tilt shield, and then it suggests you, the next items will be his shoulder pauldrons and then his head and tilt shield. So these are again, have got locating holes underneath, square ones, and the very ornate scrolled pauldron goes on his right, and then the Inquisition eye goes on his left. Just checking to make sure that was right. And then, as I say, it suggests popping in the tilt shield, which will cover up the big gap that you would have in the thing, in his pauldron. And then finally it's to pop in the head. Now the head is looking to his left, and that is basically Crowe built as is, more or less out the box. As I said, I'm not going to pop on his cloak because I want to paint that separate. It will allow me to get to the back of the model as well. And as you can see, Crowe on the base with the sword. It's quite a nice pose. It's much better than the older metal miniature that they had. I got that when they first came out. I no longer have him, but there you go. And obviously when I'm finished painting, I'll put the backpack on and the cloak. And the cloak on the inside has the ammunition feed to his storm bolter. So that will just slot in like so, and then the backpack will just go on the back like that. Okay, that's it. And you can just make out the ammunition feed actually on the inside of the cloak. So that is Castellan Crowe from the Hexfire box set. I hope you enjoyed that quick build video. I will do another one for the Infernal Master, and hopefully you'll join me for that. Alright, take care. Bye.